was time.
I think this is going to explode.
Okay, we are live, my darling. Welcome.
Well, hello.
Oh, and then Brady's here. Oh, hello, Brady.
Hi,
Hello,
Mom.
lady.
Were you
Hi, Michelle.
so if Coda comes in, you'll pop him in too. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a new person that might want to join us. It's one of the boys' best friends. He's like my other son. Him and
Awesome.
yes. So he is like, oh, I want to talk about this stuff. I said, well, come join us. And
Right.
so I don't know if he will or not if he remembers, but we'll see. So we'll start off. Let's see. We'll talk about kind of like what Simon talked about, and we can sit there and
Okay.
dissect it and talk about kind of some of the intel drops and deep dives that we listened to, and
Okay.
we could go through there. So let's see. What's the first thing you talk about? Ooh, that was nice, right? So basically, Simon was dropping some intel about what's going to be happening. He talked about how this is the month of the military. This is the month
Mm-hmm.
of things starting to take some action. We may or may not see it on the outside world. That things are going to be moving even more rapidly than they have been. And then,
Woohoo.
yeah, woohoo, finally, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so then next month will be, it was the, let's see, it was the military. Then next month would be kind of like the vindication, like um, starting to see
Yeah.
things start to really happen, and people are going to start wandering around, and it's kind of like the truth month. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, that's what I got correctly, right?
Yep.
Was it July, the truth month? And then
Yep.
August would be kind of like the holy shit month.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that this is happening, and we kind of people are going to be wandering around not knowing what's going on. And I know I did it all by myself, Ben.
Dakota's not coming in.
Okay, Dakota's not coming on. Okay, so and then September is going to be where we spring into action, and we're going to help everybody through it.
Yes.
So did I go through that correctly? Because I know that I listened to it and I was half asleep.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you did. We're going to be needed more now than ever
Yes.
to be that solid foundation that people need. That guiding hand. Um, Simon was funny because he's like, you can look at them with a raised eyebrow and be like, I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to tell you.
Yeah. And it's gonna be like more. I think we're gonna take it to turn it like, okay, how can we help you understand what's going on? You
Right.
know, not the
Not that
I.
Nana Nana told
Yeah,
you
boo.
so.
Yeah, boo boo, stick your head poo poo kind of thing. No, but it's more like, okay, now you're starting to see things differently, and we're just here to help you.
Well,
I've
that's
had
kind of funny because my family, my husband, my daughter, they're seeing now all the things that I have been predicting all this time coming true, and they're starting to be like perking up and listening.
yep. They're like, holy shit, she's on to something. Yep, yes I am, and it is. It's just, and Brady and I were talking about it today that we've stepped into our flame, our self actualization. We've started to realize who we are, and we do that. Things become so freaking crystal clear. Like we see it. We just see it, and it's like not even a thought. We just see it and we know it.
Yep.
Um, if you can hold on 1 second, uh, someone's asking me for advice about food poisoning. Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
So if you could take the floor for a second, maybe describe what else Simon talked about. While I type this up real quick because this is kind of important. Um,
Okay. I'll do my best.
Okay.
He talked about a lot of things about how we're going to be on deck to soothe the masses and keep them grounded in the light, and our job is going to be to hold the line and hold the light. I'm not good at this. Just
Okay.
I don't have the gift of verbiage and verbose
Okay.
that you do.
Oh, so I just suggested charcoal is the best. Charcoal is the best thing to go and filter out all the bad food poisoning. So so you were saying, um, what did you say about lighting?
Our job is to hold the line and be the light and the lighthouse. He said something about we're the lighthouse.
Yeah. So basically, we are the ones who are just standing in our flame, standing in our truth, standing in the unwavering light, because we've done the work. We've seen our shadow. We're not afraid of our shadow. We've actually loved it to the point where we welcome any time our shadow wants to show us something. And we're actually open to that. And that's what the next step will be for people, is the next level of looking at yourself. Like the how come I didn't see it? Just like we did. Just like we would.
Right.
How come we didn't see this so long ago? Well, we were hypnotized. We couldn't see it.
Right.
We grew up with it. We were told from the day we were born, basically, the energy of what was expected, what to see here, what to do this. Even if it felt totally wrong, which it did. And that's why we were in the boat that we were. We never fit in. Um, we never felt right. Even when we would acquiesce, it just didn't feel right. Like we just
Right.
like we're like almost insulting our soul.
Yep.
And so now people will be going through that. And so we went through it. So we went through the dark freaking nights of the soul, over and over and over and over again. Now they're going to be fast tracked through it. So it's going to be very intense, but we're just we get it. And that's why we were put through the ringer, is because
Mm-hmm.
we got this, because we made it out. Yeah, we still dive through our 500th time of the deep night of the dark soul. You
Yep.
see that darkness. Like even with my foot, I go, oh, here we go. And
Yep.
so it's like, all right, show me. And everyone's like, oh, you should go to the doctor. I'm like, no. And
No.
it was a big resounding no. Um, it was all phantom. It was all yeah, the pain was real.
Yeah, because
It,
whenever you go to the doctors, it's always all in your head anyway. So
right, right. And I'll go, okay, here's the thing, doc. Um, this is an old injury. It's not, and I don't have gout. I don't have any of this stuff, but it's old injuries coming up for me to look at because of the thoughts and feelings at that time. And they're going to go, okay, you could go to Mill Creek and have a nice stay there with some meds and a drool cup. And that's when I I have to be my own doctor. I had to be my own therapist, which I did this with other people. I could do it with myself. And
certainly.
it's going to teach other people how to do it themselves and how to
Yep.
trust themselves and say, ooh, this hurts because of this, and not having to rely on outside sources any longer.
Isn't that a blessing?
It is. I mean, yeah, if you get a broken bone or car crash or whatever the case may be, that's what they're there for. They're there to help with those kinds of issues.
Absolutely.
But to
You know,
depend on
probably
everybody.
right. It was probably 15 years ago or more now that I was first introduced to the notion that the only time you really ever need to go to a quote unquote doctor is if you're knocking on death's door.
Yes, yes,
Everything else you can do for yourself. And at the
yes,
time,
yes,
I was still semi brainwashed, if you will. I still had that white coat God syndrome, right, where we see them as
yes.
as some
Yes.
sort of a savior type thing. Not no more.
No, no, no. And it is. It's like even with the homeschooling with Ben, taking that into my own hands, and we
Mm-hmm.
sat there with the teacher, and he was just telling her about is very good. Um, he was just very he couldn't articulate necessarily exactly everything that we did, so I would talk about it, then he would talk about it, and she's like, oh my gosh, you guys learned so much. I said, that's the beauty of it. We unschooled
Right.
for a while, and I go, he doesn't even know that he's doing it. I go, he doesn't
Right.
even know half the time that he's learning a lesson. Like we even talked about going um, to the grocery store and filling out a budget and staying within that budget and to see how much we have compared to what we did on the app and how it adds it up to you. And then we also have the little scanner thing that we could take at Giant Eagle, boop, boop, boop. And I love it because it helps add it up. So you're like,
Right.
okay, I'm staying within the guidelines of what I'm supposed to do. And so both boys are learning that as we go. And it's just amazing. And she's like, this is great. This is great. And I go, we're starting our garden at my mom's and
Yeah.
preparing that to where we did science projects. And, he would come to me with, we watched videos on chemistry and then we'd go outside and do them. Um, it the the sky's the limit. And I told him even about the truth or, finding out really what history was. I said, we're unpacking everything that we're ever taught and how
Yep.
it wasn't true. And
Mm.
how, because he's listening to this thing with me. I'm talking about it. Both boys are learning so much with this. And Brady and I actually were in with Scott, one of his podcasts with no, Bishop Larry. Wow, that was an eye opener. He was talking about all the history of even America
Mm-hmm.
and how it's Mayan, of course, and it goes back to like basically the dark devil kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
how the wordplay that is um, the wordplay that's going on, the magic of the spells.
Mm-hmm.
Just what our beautiful Sasha talks about, the words and the spells. And so even the school stuff, words and spells. And the math is a spell. And all of it is so false, the false light.
Right. And if they're old enough, even that course that we took on Law for Mankind would be
Yes.
something that they should listen to.
Yes, they did.
Because understanding that, yeah.
Yeah, they did. And they were like, whoa, that's totally, different than what we were taught. So of course it was. And even the science they've sat in with the new technologies. And I dropped some seeds to her too.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
I
awesome.
was, yeah, and so like, yeah, the frequency medicine and everything's a frequency, and we're finding out, just with the jabberdoos that we had to actually raise our frequency even more so to neutralize the frequency that was coming in at us because it was disrupting our bodies. It was
Mm-hmm.
disrupting um, to the point where we would have massive reactions. I said, so we have to raise our frequency by not only who we are around, but what we watch, what we eat, what we put on our bodies, and all that other stuff that we raise our
Yep.
frequency to neutralize basically the frequencies that are not so nice coming in at us. And I'm just talking about this. And I said, and then there's frequencies of food, and then there's frequency medicine coming out, and there's new humanitarian projects coming out that have this, and where the scalar frequency. So I'm just dropping major bombs left and right, and I loved every minute. She was, oh my gosh, and she just kept saying, oh my gosh. I said, And I go, and he's sitting in with a bunch of humanitarians who want to plan how to move things forward and start new systems, new or not even a system, just new ways of being, and how
Mm,
we give that freedom back to the people. And I go, it starts with um, the education.
yes.
And I said, and that's what I saw just a couple, especially years ago. I saw it, but I didn't know how to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how do I get out of the system? How do I? And so that's what people are going to be doing. Like, how do I get out of the system? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Because I know I was there. Like, how do I get out of the medical system? How do I get out of? I'm like, oh my gosh, you just start talking to yourself, listening to yourself, finding people out there who have basically
Already done it.
done it, and decided to, well, like David O'Connor Wolf to Dr. Group. I'm still haven't signed on to the P thing yet, but it is.
Getting,
We're getting there, but it's the sacred nectar, and to wrap our heads around it still is
yep.
very difficult. And we've been on this path for a long time where we're like, oh yeah, we feel that. Oh yeah, and we feel it. We feel it. It's just in our heads is that belief system,
Mm-hmm.
and in our heads there's this or this or this, and so we're still seeing where we are um,
Programmed.
programmed, and we are basically following our own belief system instead of stepping into our flame, our truth of who we are, our just how every day are we still going through and basically insulting our soul. As
Mm-hmm.
Sasha always says, what are you doing today that basically insults your soul? And so when you
Yep.
look at it that way, you're like, holy shit. And you can't
Mm,
believe that we've gone this far and just basically insulted our soul, which people were like, oh, you're insulting God. I mean, you're looking at it like God gave us everything
yep.
and even gave us the ability to have um, choices and the ability to see what choices are best for you, to be able to step forward in that non-judgment of other people having other choices. Now, when that choice, say, actually hurts another being, that's when it stepped over the line.
Right.
And that's when we need to stand up for ourselves and say, no, your choice is actually affecting us to the point where it's hurting us. And that's what also has to happen is
Mm-hmm.
we have to stand into that flame of ours and say, yeah, we love you and all. But what you're choosing is it's insulting our soul. It's hurting us. So I cannot participate in that longer. And I had to make those decisions, and they were not easy at all.
No, they're not.
And I know that there's more coming, and that's you don't look forward to those. And it's it's hard to step into that entirely, but it's worth every minute of it. But yet it's not easy, and it's looking at yourself even deeper and even deeper and even deeper. And like even our neighbor is moving, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so all these feelings came up. I'm like, oh my gosh, there he is. He's been over here for we've known him for 6 years. We've lived next to him for those 6 years, right? And he became part of the family, like my other son. So I got
Mm-hmm.
two others that are like my other kids, and um, so he's moving, and it is really hard. And I was crying, but then I'm like, and then I just my whole like my higher self came down. It was kind of like talking to me and just letting me feel it, but then showing me, okay, he has to do this.
Mm-hmm.
He has to go on this journey. He has to see what it's like without your influence, without the boys' influence, and he has to find himself with this. He has to go through his own stuff. He has to see what it's like out there in the other world that he's choosing to go into. I said, we
And
don't,
as a mom, even though it's not a biological child, you're still a mom. And as a mom, we want to protect them from
yep,
that.
yep. But it was watching that occur, and myself was telling myself, you just, he knows where you're at. He knows where you are.
Mm-hmm.
If he needs you, he will come back. And the other one that was going to join us tonight, I did that with him. I said, you just got to let him
Mm-hmm.
go, guys. Let him go. And if he's meant to be back here with the frequency, then he'll come back. And he did. And
Yep.
wow, the conversations we had with him on the way home, taking him back to his house, it was amazing because he's right on line with all of this. He's just like, it just, I'm seeing so much differently now, and I was like, yeah. And so we just allow that to happen, and the frequency aligns us with who they're supposed to be in front of. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I know with him that if the frequency lines up, he'll be, it's not like he ever left. But then I can see where there's parts of him that still need to align with our frequency, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
he has to go.
Yep.
He has to go right now because he has to align with where he's resonating at, and that's where he is, and he has to go on that journey, find the lessons that are meant for him, and then if he aligns back in frequency, then he'll be back in our in our existence again. And
Yep.
everything happens for a reason. People bounce in and out of our lives for seasons,
Mm-hmm.
for months, for days, for a minute, to years, to a lifetime.
Yep.
And then even with my ex, next weekend is the beautiful Father's Day, and so he's like, well, we'll come down. He goes, how about, is it okay that we come down to, like, there's a restaurant down here, we all can meet, and with his dad and such like that. I said, great, yeah, sure. He goes, and that's way, this kind of like, whoa, that way we won't have any negative influences or negative energies around us. And I almost fell off. I almost fell over. Somebody, what did you just say? And so, his journey was way far away, and now it's starting to come back again. But
Mm-hmm.
only to a certain point where
I know.
the frequency aligns. And so that's what this is all about. People are gonna find that out real quick out there. Is like, okay, what feels good? Go with that. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it.
Yep.
And that's what everybody's gonna start realizing. Like, well, this didn't feel good, and I had to do it. No, did you though? And then
Right.
that's what they'll start to find out. Is like, and they'll get mad, and they're gonna go after the people that quote unquote made them. But then you start to realize, shit,
Nobody made you.
nobody made you, but you were under the illusion that that was what you had to do.
Everything's about choices because I'll tell you what, with the job that my husband has, and he works for the state,
Yes.
and the mandates came down, and he flat up told them, I'm not taking it. You can fire me. I'll be happy to get unemployment, but I'm not taking it. Well, then all the scrambling happened because I guess there was a lot of them that wouldn't take it.
Yeah, good.
And
They
all
all
the
stood up.
scrambling happened of a loophole, of a way that they could keep them around without it. So that now he has to test weekly. And he said, well, I'm not shoving anything up my nose either.
Nice.
He says, I'll spit in a cup for you, but I am not shoving anything up my nose. So now he gets mailed the spit cup and he spits in it and he sends it off and it comes back negative every time. Never
Which,
once has he tested positive for this
well,
nonsense.
yeah, because we know darn well that the tests are already pre-orchestrated anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the tests are actually bunk, and they
Right.
don't test. They just test for a certain DNA sequence.
Yep.
So yeah, it's they're gonna find out real quick, and then that because I remember the whole victim status, right? And so you would blame everybody. Well, you made me do it, or you made me feel this way. You,
Mm.
you, you, you. So everybody's got to go through that because they're still there. But
Yep.
until you realize, holy shit, I'm responsible for all
Yep.
of it, and
Yep.
take accountability for all of it. And they have their part. Yes, they do. Do they um, make things difficult? Yes, they do. Do they? But it's learning how to stand in your power, learning how to speak on your feelings, speak on
Mm.
your truth at that time, and then that truth changes, and then they'll find out that whether one truth they thought 6 months ago is something totally different now, because truth is just belief.
Mm-hmm.
What is true is something totally different,
Right.
and the only thing that is true is love,
Yep.
source, creator. That's the only thing that's really true. Everything else is a variation of this whole entire. There's shades of gray,
Yep.
and so that's why I think that we are the gray Jedi's, because we surf this gray area all the time, and we know how to play with it, how to move it, because we've lived in it for so many gazillion years that we
Yeah.
we know the gray. We know this gray very well because everything is but inside of us is gray. Everything. And to blame this or blame that, that's part of the victim mentality as well. And that's part of the codependence. And that's part of the narcissism that even empaths have. Yes, we have both.
Mm-hmm.
And most empath, oh my god, no, I attract the narcissist. Well, there you go. That statement alone.
Right. If you attract them, then you must be it.
Yeah, yeah. And it took me a while to see that as well, because I'm like, oh boy, I was being a narcissist with the blame. I was being the narcissist, and the whiny little poor woe is me, because that's what I learned. I learned
Yeah.
that, and so I was that, and then I had to say, holy shit, you got to take accountability for your part in this.
Mm-hmm.
And until people do, that they actually took part in this. Nobody made them do it. No, you thought you had to. Just like I thought I had to do this, and I thought I had to do that too. And then you go, whoa, I could have, I could have made this choice. Just like I had to have the boys go through school. No, you didn't. I
No.
had, I thought I had to take them to um, monthly checkups when they were babies. No, you didn't.
Yep. No.
You had to do this. You
Well,
had to
things
do
that we
that.
weren't aware of, though.
Yeah,
We we weren't aware of our rights because it was carefully and cleverly hidden from us.
right. And so that's why they're just going to be going through that too, and it's part of the growing up process. So like the whole charade, when we were little, believing in this and believing in that, and then you grow up and then you're like, oh, and you're devastated that that wasn't the case, and it's just the same. It's just adult ways of being are just also, here are the falsities that this, and when people are gonna find out that their favorite sports heroes are a bunch of adrenochrome junkies that
Mm.
do horrific things to people, and they're movie stars and all that other stuff, and everybody that they had on a pedestal
Mm-hmm.
are a bunch of shitbags, even to the doctors that swore up and down, oh no, 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 this is, they played along with the program. They and even the doctors who went along with it, who didn't know any
No,
better, they thought they were doing what was right, blah blah blah. The nurses, all that stuff, they're gonna, oh my gosh, the shitstorm that's gonna occur. No one's gonna trust anybody, first of all.
yeah, yeah.
And there's oh, there's gonna be so much upheaval, but it's supposed to happen through the chaos, because we went through the chaos.
Hmm.
It's gonna come out, of course, beautiful, but this next couple of years is gonna be very chaotic. Um,
Yeah.
but it has to happen for them. It happened for us.
Hmm.
It is still happening for us. It's just different levels, and we're able to accept it. And oh, okay, this is why this is happening. Oh, okay, this is a deeper part that I got to look at. Okay, this hurts like a son of a bitch, but all right, let's do this.
Yep.
And so then we'll go on to today with the gorilla news. um,
Oh, that was awesome.
wow, it was, and it was. I love Laura Eisenhower.
Yes.
She's she's just real like us, and I just love it. Um,
Yep. Beauty.
yes, and I've told her that before. I said you did amazing on Gorilla News. She was, I was so nervous. I go, you were amazing. You're amazingly awesome. I said you spoke the true aspects of all the divine feminine, and how you know what's going on astrologically, and I said, and you just you're just real. I want to thank you
Mm.
for that. And so she was touched by that, but it was the truth.
Yeah.
It was true.
He
And
is a.
she is. And then I love the other girls were in there too, and then Anne Vandersteel was talking about the whole movement from being a national, not a citizen, but a national person, or not even a person, a man or a woman. We're
Hmm.
stepping away from that, so that's why that's back on the table again. So that's, I guess, wondering what resonates with us, because then that other person that we listened to said that we don't have to go through all that. We just have to
Right.
know that we're a man or woman, and what the truth is, what is true, and what is truth, and what is
Hmm.
fake, real,
I
and
think.
what.
I think personally we could marry the two different ways of viewing it because I I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand that people do need some tangible, real steps to take as well.
Right, but perhaps not go through the process of having to get a whole new ID or anything like that, or um, or even to the fact of if when Nezra Gezra comes through,
Yeah,
you won't have to worry about that anyway,
right.
because it will be the
So
Republic.
I'll tell you about the I'm going to call it, if you will, a download that came through while I was driving home from taking Alyssa home.
Oh, okay, I love this.
I was driving along and I was looking, and all of a sudden I saw in my mind's eye, I guess,
Uh-huh.
when there's no longer any power lines or power poles and no asphalt roads, everything was just green and lush and beautiful around the homes. And I thought, this is what it's going to be like.
Oh, beautiful.
This is how we're going to be living when we stop the dependency on the narrative.
Yes, yes, exactly. We won't have a need for roads, because our consciousness will be able to.
Take us wherever we want to go.
Right. And even right now, they're talking about the consciousness of fighter pilots. It's hooked in to the consciousness of the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So the pilot thinks about it, and then the aircraft goes there.
Yeah.
So it's already there.
Yes.
And so
Those are already there in us.
now I had a download. It was like, I don't know, 5 years ago, of them all, like when Desert Gezer came through, and I didn't even know what I kind of knew what it was back then, but didn't know what the name of it. So all this came through, and like all these changes were happening, and we got like this voucher in the mail, right? And it was to
Mm-hmm.
go take our car into a shop, and they would totally remake it so it gathers power from the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hooked up to our consciousness. And like we all got these vouchers in the mail for all of us to go and shift our cars from gas to this new, to what really Tesla energy is.
Right.
Not where you got to charge your car.
Right.
No, because you don't need to charge your car, which is that's 3D shit. This
Mm-hmm.
was getting the power you needed from the air around you, and you just put on like this little. It kind of looked like the Star Wars. It had like this. It had this band around your head, and it was like hooked up to the your third eye, and it wrapped around to your temples, and it was like beaming to your vehicle. So you would think, I want to go to Michelle, so it would just take me zip zip. It'd be
Yep.
fast. It would take me right to your house, and all I had to do was think about you, and I was there.
Yeah.
And that's what I had a download of a long time ago of how we all got these vouchers. So I don't know. I'm excited because I'm like, oh, that would be so cool if something like that, But it was showing me what's to come. The consciousness actually taking us to where we need to go. Um,
Well,
the power coming from the outside.
that's the same thing as when I'm a Trekkie. I will not lie. I used to love Star Trek, and that that's basically what the um yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah. So
Transport.
all of that. Oh yeah, when they
Beam me up, Scotty.
yeah, baby up Scotty. So
Yep.
that's what I see happening. We could do it that way too. So there's that way where we totally dissolve and then we materialize
Teleport.
somewhere else. Yeah. So there's different, probably might be different levels of this technology coming out. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? I'm excited to see because it's getting.
Yes. Me too.
I feel it's getting really, really close, and that's we talked about that the other day. Just that,
Yep.
like this summer is going to be the unraveling, and then
Yes. So we need to remember, as conscious beings, that if we create our reality, it's only going to be as chaotic
right,
or as smooth sailing as we choose it to be.
yes,
Because
yes,
energy flows where attention goes.
right. So we're
And I loved.
focusing.
I listened to a audio book by Dr. Wayne Dyer many years ago,
Oh, I love
and
him.
he sat and he said, "You're going to be sitting somewheres in a pub or a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and you're going to be sitting down with these people that we consider evil right now, and you're going to be having a conversation with them about the role that they played. Oh, do you remember when you did this to humanity? And do you remember when you did that? That's where we're headed. There is no in there and out here.
Yes, yes,
We're all one.
yep, yep.
And
And I can't
it's
wait for that.
playing your role to perfection.
Yes, yes. And I know that people in my life play their role to perfection of to get me to where I am today. To
Yes.
and I thank them, and they're like totally looking at me like, I got five heads, and they
Yep.
go, Why? I go, because without you playing your role, doing what you did, I would not be in the place I am today.
Right.
I would not. I'd still be totally asleep, and well, I don't know if I'd be totally asleep, but I'd be that way. Because I remember waking up, and then things got really bad because I woke up,
Oh, I know.
and I'm like, what the, and it was a torturous 10 years. It
Yes.
it's been a rough go, but we're on the other side,
Yep.
and
So
we
today is my beautiful granddaughter's 10th birthday.
happy
I haven't
birthday.
seen her since she was 4, but I want her a happy birthday from her Mima, who
Yes,
loves her very, very much.
yes, 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 and that's what we do. We just send it out. So she, being who she is, the higher, she'll receive it
Mm-hmm.
on a level, of where she's at, and who knows what's. I mean, after all of this this happens, who knows where things will lead? Because some people right now, um, they're totally in their ways, but
Mm-hmm.
in 3 months it could be a totally different ball game. And
Right.
being who we're being the ones who know why they did the things they did.
Mm-hmm.
Out totally out of fear. They treated us just shitty. Because and you're conspiracy. We're gonna put you in a crazy house and we don't believe you and you're an awful person. To wake up out of that and we'll just go, well, we love you. We've always loved you. There's
Yep.
no stopping that. And we had to do a lot of the forgiveness work within ourselves. If we can forgive
Yep.
ourselves, we can forgive other people.
Yep. I don't harbor any
No,
animosity.
no.
Any.
Oh, I did. Oh, that
Oh.
was the victim status. That was the we both worked through a lot of that, and it's still coming out, still coming up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember this? Oh yeah. Hey, remember this time? Oh yeah. Remember that thought
Mm-hmm.
you had? Shit, yeah, I do. Well, here it
Mm,
is. What are you gonna do with it now? Like, oh, that's a good one. That was a good. And then I'll just go, ooh, that was a good one, because that one, ooh, I judged the shit out of that person,
mm-hmm.
and I have to sometimes still catch myself because there'll be
Oh, I.
times where those, oh, you almost judged that person, and then I'm like, ooh, judging of the judger of the judging of the judge.
Yep.
You're judging of the judger of the judgy of the judging. It's just like, oh
Yep.
my gosh. So it's just like, and then I start to laugh, and then everything is dissolved. But
Yep.
it's like, ooh, I was a bitch. And there was times, I look back with my sister-in-law, and oh, not an easy person, not an easy person to
Right.
get along with, but
Absolutely.
ooh, I I had so much venom towards her. And I remember when I first separated, texting her. I go, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I am sorry for anything that I ever did, ever said, did, um, that caused any kind of jealousy, animosity, anything like that. I am
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I got okay. I think it was an okay, maybe. I don't remember. It was about 6 years ago. No, maybe
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago. And I remember doing that. I remember doing that with everybody. And some people were like, "You have nothing to be sorry about it." I'm like, the hell I don't, because participated. I participated in my way. I participated in some way, or it would have happened.
Right.
And so I had to be the one. to apologize for my participation in it,
Right.
however
More
it
shit.
turned out.
Own your part in the
Yeah.
shitstorm.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
definitely am on board with that.
Yes. And so there's been many many apologies that um, that I had to realize you were playing the victim part in this little tragedy right here, this little play. You were the victim, and but you also were very angry, very hurt. So I had to love myself through that, and then also, well, I know I did participate. I participated in this from that victim role, and
Yep.
and how I did see things clearly from both sides of the ball game. I just saw it from my side,
Yep.
and yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to watch others go through this and how I'm still going through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always apologizing to the boys. Like even today, something came up with the World News Network, and it triggered something in me, and I started crying because I'm like, I had to move and and be on point and be um, I had to be and do things that acquiesced my soul because I had to protect the kids. And
Mm-hmm.
and I just started crying. And then Brady goes, he came in and it was just he was there, and I said, I had to do things that I had to do um, that I'm not proud of, but yet kept you safe. It kept you with me, kept you safe,
Yeah.
and things that you have to do to keep your babies safe. Play a
Or
game
what
that
you
you
thought was keeping
play.
them safe.
Pardon?
Or what you thought was keeping them safe.
Right. And so I said, now looking back on it, you know more than you did back then, and I didn't have to be scared. Um, but back then, I was terrified. I was terrified.
Oh, I know.
Um,
I was always afraid of losing my kids.
yeah,
To
and
take my kids away from me.
right. And so now knowing what I do going forward, no. But back then, I was terrified because it was a very delicate situation. It was with a person who was not in their right mind, and
Yep.
so anything could have happened. And
Yep.
so I relived that today, and I was triggered by it by them talking about the system, and how they fix it, and then even my participation in that system when I was a counselor and and taking a kids out of a house. But I knew where they were going. I knew because I went with the kid into the house, into that foster family until they went back with the family.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that was like a full circle thing where I was the mother who was fearful of the situation, but then I was also the counselor who had to protect the kid too. So it's just like, wow, 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 because it was like a multitude of levels right there, just from one media drop of this girl talking about stuff,
Yep.
and all this stuff surfaced, and I was like, okay, let's do this. So I let the emotions come out, and Brady and I talked about it, and then his anger with the situation back then, but now knowing what I did was to protect him. He realizes that now, and says, and so it was full circle. It was full circle.
That's good.
Yes, it was very healing for both of us, and then it was healing for me on the level of being the counselor and having to do that. because I remember going to court. I remember working with the social workers. I remember working with the child protective agencies, and I'm like, well, we all had to build a case against, with this family, and we knew sending them back there would be detrimental as well. But there's
Yeah.
nothing we could do because they're the family. But
Yeah.
the one girl I saw about 10 years later, and she left the house because she was the oldest girl, so she had she wanted to be there a little bit longer, and she got out and she made a life for herself. But the other ones
Oh,
are still in the system, and they have family that, it's still the perpetuating cycle. But she got
oh,
out. But that one girl got out, and that was Emmett's. I had my dog Emmett was also the therapy dog. So
oh no.
so she said, at the time, how's Emmett? I go, oh, he's wonderful. And but yeah, it was, you'll have your success stories, and then you'll have your not success stories, and then you'll have the stories where the child protective services were out for that reason entirely, was to get the kids into the system, to get them away to do horrendous things. And I know that there's people in that system, and I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of good people that aren't there because I think they're actually helping.
Right.
So there's
I know.
there's both, as you know that system too. So we all know that system, and we all know that there's always good, or there's always the duality of that, duality of everything.
Yep.
So it was. Is there anything else that you want to bring up before we close for tonight?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot tonight.
We sure did. We sure did. And it's there's just more to come.
Yeah.
I can't wait for what we're working on to come to fruition. Um, it's going to be amazing. Amazing times are coming. We just have to get through the labor pains of this old reality and birthing into a new.
Yes, we do.
And it
And remember,
is.
hold the light and don't let anything shake you from your path of standing in your light and your truth.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, I thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you too, Brady, for hanging out with us and being the moderator. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And then maybe Dakota will be able to join us because he'll be coming in on the fly because his family doesn't necessarily align with what he thinks, and so he has to kind of be on the down low about stuff right now.
And
And
that.
and so poor love, but yeah, he's definitely interested in this, and he listens to the uh, rebroadcast on Facebook. So sending you love, Coda, love you, and well, hopefully you'll be able to uh, jump in next week, and we'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. I told him we talk about aliens, we can talk about anything and everything. It's just nothing is off the table,
Right.
and because he's always interested in these conspiracy theories that he knows aren't conspiracy theories. Um,
Right.
so
Bring it.
and then
Love to have
he's
discussions.
also I talked to him about I said, give me some ideas about inner city and how we can help the kids, and how we can go in there with sports programs, or even facilities that are in your neighborhood that you don't have to go all the way across town to get, and it costs money and all this. What can we think of ideas of how we all can come together and work together to make our society better? Because on the other side of this birthing pains is going to be something beautiful that we all can work together on to come together finally. And he goes, yeah, it's the racism right now. He goes, they're trying to drum up all this stuff. They're trying to drum up all this gender stuff. They're pumping it through the schools. They're pumping it through everything. And so you're getting
Yeah.
hit with it with every angle that is coming in at.
That Alyssa and I had in the car on the way home.
It's just, it's nuts. And just crazy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to have him and the boys um, talk about what they deal with on a daily basis. That they they share with some of the stuff that they see, like online or even in their video games that they play. What they're just streaming in there,
Oh yeah,
as subconsciously. So it's very interesting.
I played the Horizon series, and I love it. I love the storyline and everything, but there was a lot of emphasis on two women or two men being together, and I was like,
Interesting.
throwing a game. Not that
Interesting.
it hasn't
Oh,
always occurred in the
yeah.
past.
Yeah. Oh, and I would also like you to see that thing on Netflix I sent you because I want to watch it too. And I think we could talk about that and how they're making a spoof out of it, but it's actual real stuff that they're doing.
Right. They're making a spoof out of it because they have to downplay it.
Yeah.
In order to make those of us who think this way look
Yes.
uncredible. What they're actually doing is shooting themselves in their own foot.
That they are. That they are. So,
So
yeah, and basically they're showing, like Rob Lowe was in it and Mike Myers. I'm like, well, you guys are just showing that this now, boys, that you're deep into it because you're
mm-hmm.
making the spoof out of it. And I said,
Yep.
well, there you go. I go, that's why Rob Lowe looks like he's never aged for past what, 30 years,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't want to watch it, but I do want to watch it because I'm like, okay, you want us to watch this? Let's call it out. Let's go bit by bit by bit what you're talking about, and because the boys are like, holy shit. Matt, he was totally clueless, with it, and I'm just like, and he thinks it's funny, and I'm just like, oh my god. Um, so it will be very because he thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, well, Grant, good. I'm wearing that badge with honor because
Right.
you see it in everything, you see it in movies and just YouTube videos to you name it. The advertisement. I haven't seen one of those in a long time, but it was on my mom's TV. We were watching Discovery Channel, and they're doing some ruins or something like that, and it was drug.
Oh,
And,
indeed.
and then it was, get your shot, drug. Um,
Yeah,
here,
and
here's your
listen,
insurance company, drug.
listen, listen to some of those adverts for the drug companies. They'll make you giggle.
Oh, right? It's like, hey, you're gonna die, but here, take this.
Yeah. Or we're gonna treat this ailment, but you're gonna get this, and
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
Oh,
have cancer, but
unreal.
you won't pee. It's like what?
You get some blood cancer, but you won't pee. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good idea to me. Sign me up.
I know.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
I know. It's just like, are you serious? But people will go, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Do you
doc.
know the United States is the only place where those kinds of drug adverts are allowed?
Oh, not
Not
even
allowed in.
your. No shit. I didn't know that.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
What's that tell you?
Yep. Yep. Well, the morning news brought to you by Pfizer.
Right. Indeed.
Yes. All right. So it's 8 o'clock
All right.
Eastern Standard Time, and
Yep.
thank you for joining me. And we'll talk soon, my dear.
All
All right. Love you.
right. Love you too.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.